very good afternoon to everybody. Oh, it's lovely to see some of our familiar faces and fantastic friends from across the year that I've met, and new faces coming too. It's great stuff. Catherine, hello, lovely to see you. And welcome to another session of PPMA Sparkle and Learn, bringing a little bit of light into your darkness of those autumn and winter months. And I can't think of a better way to end the week, this Friday, to bring just, one of the amazing people I have met through this period of real challenge for us all, isn't it? Scott Leiper, creative baker and randomator. Yay, what a title. Yeah, I want some of that, definitely. So Scott, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, and good afternoon, everyone, because it's now 12:03. I think we're in afternoon now. Safe time to say that. Thank you. I'm trying to rival you. I'm trying to out fairy light you this morning.
I think you might have managed that, yes. But I've always got something in the background just to try and kind of top my guests. See what happens. Yeah, I did a session this week with Scott, and I unveiled my Christmas hat full of tinsel and light, but I've now put them on the wall behind me because I realized I didn't have any decorations. So what's all of this about then in terms of creative baker and randomator?
So my job role involves so many different things that I always struggle to define it by one single job title. And I used to just have my business cards, enabling change is what I wrote on it, rather than having a job title. It's always quite tricky when you go into a website and you have to register for anything. It asks you for your job title and you need 3 drop-down boxes rather than 1. But because my job involves creating and designing lots of things and curating a lot of content for businesses, the best way I could probably singly define it is creator. But secondly, I've got a massive passion for making things for people and baking things for people in particular. One of the main reasons for that is my grandfather was a baker, had his own bakery business for years. And I've been very blessed to inherit some of his skills, but also his kind of 1950s and 60s baking equipment from his own bakery, which stamps my surname on cookies, which is just an awesome thing to have in your house. So I think it's an opportunity that's not to be wasted when you've got something that's so much part of you, not to make that part of your identity. And randomator, just because if you couple all those things together, really, my job could be anything from creating a visual storyboard for an organization of their journey, for their culture that they have or want to achieve across the course of the next 2 years, or designing a virtual festival online for businesses. So it does become quite random every single day. That when you ask my kids what I do for a living, they kind of come up with a different answer every day of the week, which is lovely. I feel blessed to be able to do that. So I can't choose between 3 now, so I just put the 3 of them at the bottom of emails and then let people choose which one they want to go to.
I think that kind of reflects the reason why I felt it was really important to introduce you to the community of PPMA. And those of us who are involved in organizational change, the inspiration and the ideas that I always get from Scott every time I meet with them is brilliant. Just having that kind of ideas and different perspectives around you. And one of those things that I learned about over recent months was your world of Imaginocity. So what's Imaginocity all about, Scott?
Well, it came from somebody described me a couple of years ago when I was using my job titles and things. They said you've got itchy creativity, which I'd never really thought of that phrase before, but it basically meant when I saw something that I had to do, I had to go and scratch it and do something with it. And I had spent, so I've done different roles in my career. I've been a retailer. I've worked in leadership roles. I've worked in learning development for many years. I've been kind of head of functions for different businesses and things. But 12 years ago, I started my own business called the Learning Lab, which was creating learning programs and solutions for organizations. But over the course of those 12 years, I started to notice that what I was doing is I was being paid to create products and solutions for businesses, and those same businesses were taking these same products and solutions and embedding them within their organization, and in some occasions repurposing them and selling them out into a marketplace. So I did one for a large supermarket, and I created this really nice little program for them alongside a kind of lunchbox learning session. Did a really nice kind of visual story behind it where the whole thing was like a sandwich box that you used and everything. And then it ended up being used by Costa Coffee, and I got a nice bit of design fee for putting it, but they were then using it times 10 on other ways. And I thought, do you know, I'm a bit off my head here. I should actually be doing this for myself and actually allowing other businesses to benefit from the stuff that I'm creating. So what I'm really trying to do is do my other business out of business, which might seem quite abstract, but I've got a business that consults, but I actually want to help businesses to go, well, maybe we don't need that as a full service. Maybe we could actually buy a product that would give us those solutions to do those things internally. And I didn't quite realize, because this business is now just over 12 months old. I didn't quite realize when I defined what it was that I wanted to do, how much it was needed of what's just happened in the last 9 months. So there's a little banner just behind me here. I'll just turn my camera around. It says, with the world changing at such a pace, the combined craft of imagination and application will be vital. And I wrote it down in September last year and thought, yeah, I'm going to go with that because that's kind of defines what I want to try to do. But when we got into March this year, it really paid such dividends to me to take what I've got as a strength and creativity and deploy it into a time that was quite tough for me personally and tough for a lot of you, I'm sure, through the course of the last 9 months. And I think it's something that I try to do. What I'm doing in Imaginocity is trying to create products that allow people to find their very best in themselves by what they do. And it enables those businesses and those people that use those products to be at their very best. That probably is the key purpose and focus of it, is really trying to help people to shine as much as they can with the products they use that I'll create for them.
Great. One of the themes that came out from this year's PPMA conference, where there were two key messages that we listened to and took away, was the need to be able to provide hope and joy for people who are in work. And that kind of has led to a series of guests on these programs. One's with us today, Catherine, who's been talking about compassion in higher education, but a broader application of that message. It's a really powerful story that Catherine shared. And we're going to have Catherine back on a future program. And that kind of at the same time led me into this world of Cognitize with your good self, and this concept of learn, share, grow, repeat, which is on there. And this really, I think that's an amazing product, in terms of picking up on what you've just been said. And how do you bring this message of kindness into the workplace? So tell us a little bit about
cool.
This product.
So the history of it, where it came from, a really good friend of mine, Rory, who works in the gaming industry. So his job is he distributes and he promotes and he sells learning games and educational games for mainly for kids and for families, is the products that he tends to promote. And he's been one of my best friends for over 20 years. And during every single time I go to Belfast to visit him, I say to my wife, I'm going to see Rory in Belfast. We're going to design a game or a product for learning. And I end up in the pub and it doesn't happen. It never goes anywhere. So if you really ask my wife how long this has taken, she'll probably say about 10 years. But in reality, it's been about 18 months in the doing. But he brought a set of cards over to me about 18 months ago. And it was an American concept about playing random acts of kindness through cards, about leaving cards in random places. And there was one card that was in the set of cards that he gave me, and it was a card that was called Free Vend. And the challenge was you were to go to a vending machine and put a coin in it, and it says the next vend's on me, and then you get a free drink. But then when you collect that, you take it to another vending machine somewhere else in the world and place it on there. And these little cards all had a little number on them. And when you typed that number into their website, it would show you how far that act of kindness had traveled across the world. And I thought, there's something quite beautiful in that as a concept, that what if we did something similar to that, but within a field of learning, that if we had something that we had learned and then shared that thing with someone else, would that not just be a wonderful thing to do? So it was really about the principle of random acts of learning. It's trying to do learning where you learn something new, but you share that something new with someone else and they benefit from your learning experience. But how could we create that multiplier effect so it would travel further and further? And how could we give you the best kind of expertise that we could possibly give you? And the other thing within that, as you were saying there a second ago, Lethan, was I didn't want the cards to be about deficit, about fixing what's broken in people. I wanted them to be about abundance and about flourishing, about the positivity of trying to find the best in people. and really trying to amplify that so that people could deploy those strengths into different areas of their job role. Because there's lots of things out there and lots of tools out there that do that and do that really well about, you know, fixing the stuff that maybe people are trying to do. So there's also a very positive intention through the 52 cards that are in the set, that they're based around 6 themes, but each of the themes are really focused on that same thing about enabling others or helping people to blossom or committing awesome acts of brilliance or making people's heads smile. They're all about doing things that bring some sunshine to people's day. And, you know, if anything, the year of 2020, God, do we need that in our lives right now? It's bringing some optimism to people as well. So it was created in 2019 because I think it was something that's needed. But, you know, sometimes when you create something, whether you write a book or whether you create a product, sometimes the context of the situation completely changes the use of it or the potential use of it and the potential of how it can fit into a culture and into an environment. And I think it's, you know, coming to the end of this year now, we've got some really optimistic, you know, activity around it in terms of how it's being used across the world by people as well, to give them something that they can really use to inject those acts of kindness and virtues and strengths through others into kind of workplace conversations. And I've seen people use them at home, and we had a brilliant example during the summer where somebody was using it for homeschooling, and it was not designed for that purpose. But he said his daughter was picking up the cards and taking a card out every single day and using them to help tell stories of what was happening, you know, that day in her life. And it's lovely just to see when you create something that it grows organically into something quite different as well when you actually put it together. So it's been a wonderful experience even in the first 12 months of it.
So I'm just seeing a message. Thank you, Laura Kay, for joining us, and I appreciate you've got to disappear. But the rest of the program you can catch up on Record. We'll be pushing that out to all members. So how do people use this, Scott, in organisations? So for those colleagues out there who will be thinking potentially about something like this, how do they go about using it in the workplace?
So what they do is, well, firstly, when they get a set of cards, when they purchase a set of cards directly, they also get a digital download alongside it as well. So they've got digital cards so they can use them in virtual sessions as well as use them in face-to-face sessions, because we'd obviously designed this as a face-to-face product originally. But due to everything else that's happened this year, we diversified it a bit and put a digital version of it. But when you open the box up, you get a game guide with it that gives you 9 different ways that you can use it, and the digital guide gives you another 6. So we've developed 15 different ways that you can use the cards. It's not a rule book that comes with it, because I don't think it's the product that should have rules around it. It gives guidance notes and ideas. So I've used my expertise in training design to write little session plans. So there's 15 little session plans to show you different ways that you can use it. But the concept of it is, I'll just show you in a large one. This isn't the real size of them, by the way, just in case you think you're going to get a set of cards in the size of your head. These are blown up ones to show you. So this is one of our engage cards about being fully present with someone to recognise their value and contributions. So this little card here is called All You Need Is Love. So what you would do with this card here is you would have a learn at the very top of the card to stretch yours or someone's own personal development. So you would give this card to someone and tell them what you absolutely love about their approach to work. You would then share that card with them, hand them the card physically or share it digitally, whatever way you wanted to do it. And by doing that in that process, you're also igniting conversations between you and the other person. I'm a big believer in allowing neuroscience to underpin what I do when I design something as well. And that whole generation of new ideas and sharing our ideas with others is a benefit for us, but it's also a benefit for the other person, because we're then creating learning pathways between each other and new learning is then being created. What they have right at the very bottom of the back of a card is a little grow section. So if you scan that QR code, that'll take you to the Imaginocity webpage, and it'll allow you access to videos that have been recorded along the theme of that card. So over the last 12 months, my job has been not only to put the cards out there, but also to invite people to record stories on those cards who are authors, who are thought leaders, who are DJs, who are brilliant coaches, who are just a really great talents who have got amazing stories to tell. So if you scan that QR code, there's two stories on this card at the moment. So you've got one story from a gentleman called Tim Roberts, who's a coach in emotional intelligence, and he talks about the importance of love within the journey of management. And And then there's another video by myself on there that's talking about using love in business and why that's incredibly important. And every single one of the cards has got videos that grow all the time. So we put new video content on the cards every 3 months. So across the 52 sets, the 52 cards in the set at the moment, we've got 121 videos that people have recorded over the course of the last 12 months. But the final thing I would add is that I'm really focused when organizations are buying into a product, it has to be sustainable for them. So I've bought coaching cards before and used them 5 or 6 times, and then they've sat on the shelf behind me and I've not used them again. The one thing about these is they grow because the videos get more and more and more. So if we're in 2020 at the moment, our goal is by the time we get to the same point next year, when you're then investing into those cards, there's new video content, there's always new things appearing in those cards as well. So there's new content all the time, and Lethan very kindly put some videos out last week for us as well. So there's now 5 little mini Lethan videos that exist within these cards as well, from different selections as well. And there's the lovely curiosity of surprise that when you scan that QR code, you've got the option of who you want to listen to and what that story is. And they're little short 5-minute videos to really help to ignite people's learning. And then the last part of the card is the repeat process, that you should repeat that process as many times as you can, multiple times with multiple people. Now, if you buy that as an organization, you've got to release them. You're not just to buy the cards and keep them for yourself, you've got to buy them and give them away. And I think that's one of the most beautiful philosophies of the whole thing that we try to do with it. It's like buying a bunch of flowers for something and giving them. You're buying a product that you can use with lots of other people. So even if that's somebody that buys one set, then that one set gets distributed through lots and lots of different people. And those cards start popping up around your organization in different places. You're seeing people using them and having great stories in different ways as well.
I love that idea, and sadly I haven't followed that through because I'm so wedded to the cards I can't.
Well, it's funny. It's a great point, Lethan. That one of the things that's really struck us since we've launched it is people like them so much they don't want to give them away. And one of the reasons we introduced the digital set was so that people could still access the videos once they give the cards away. But the micro set has 18 cards in it rather than the full 52 because it's a cheaper price point for people as well. But what we're launching in January 2020 is a virtual version of it, so that people can actually go into a virtual room as a group of 8 people and actually slide cards across the screen and share them with each other and have those conversations.
Oh, great.
But at the same time, what they can also do is they can always access all of the video content for themselves. So even if they give the cards away, they'll always have the option that they can always access all the videos and they can watch them at any point in time. And it is literally as simple as taking a card, scanning the code with your phone. You don't need any software. You just use your camera on your phone, scan it, takes you to the video to watch. So it's nice and simple to use. But you're not the only one that's done that, Lethan. They like to keep them. It's not a sign of selfishness, don't worry.
My Friday confession. I mean, the videos are absolutely amazing. I was just really blown away by the stories that I found on there. And it reminded me very much of the conversation I was having with when I spoke with Catherine about, this sense and feeling of kindness and compassion. And we've seen these words start to be used more frequently across recent months, but I wonder, why generally do people, including my colleagues in HR, find it so difficult to reflect words like love, kindness, and compassion in their kind of formal statements? And how do you bring this about in the workplace? What do you think about that?
I think one of the biggest reasons why businesses don't always apply it really well is that traditionally in business, when you get something, you try to measure it. And when love, compassion, and kindness, it surrounds us in every single day with our acts and our feelings and our activities. So you can't necessarily attach a measure to it. I also think that kindness is such a brilliant currency to trade in, but it's not a competitive currency, it's a collaborative currency. And we did I'm sure you may ask me about this later, but we did a Kindfest back in September, and we were trying to reach out for somebody to help us with it, to do a bit of a kind of celebrity endorsement. And we sent a message to Sophie Ellis-Bextor, and she said, yep, no problem. She recorded a little video from her own bedroom, which was an additional bonus point. But she recorded a story, and she talked about the currency of kindness and how important that is. And it always makes me think about in organizations that if you think about the currency of kindness, the traditional currency that we operate in is trying to be the best that we can be within our field. But kindness and compassion is sometimes almost the opposite of that. You want everyone to be, you want to be sharing all your ideas. You want to be sharing all the best stuff that you're doing around kindness with everyone else, because the more people that do it, the higher value there is and the more value there is. So it's not a competitive space, it's a collaborative space to exist in. If somebody imitates your idea around kindness and does it, you've won. That's what you want. You don't want to go like that. Don't look at my kindness ideas because they're all my ideas and keep them to yourself. You want to give them to people and enable those things to take place. And I think that's why sometimes businesses struggle with it a little bit, because they're trying to get some kind of measure or value system around it rather than just allowing it to be about people's compassion and well-being and doing great things for others.
And we just heard this morning on a program that we did through PPMA of two amazing stories connected with that, London Borough of Lambeth and London Borough of Brent, who've been doing some amazing work over the past 12 months. And really check that out, because it was inspiring to hear just how they've been so open, recognizing the fact that they haven't got everything right, you know, but wanting to be better and being kind in the way that they're going about trying to engage with people. It was one of the best sessions that we've done. It was brilliant stuff. And you mentioned there, well, before I ask that question, one of the happiest times of my summer was dancing to Sophie Ellis-Bextor, one of my faves, and she did You Could Be Anything That You Wanted to Be from Bugsy Malone, dressed up. And if you've ever seen her programs that she's been doing, the kitchen disco.
Love my hat here, look, from the very event. There we go.
It was amazing. I just beamed for days afterward, you know, this very simple thing. And she would, you know, it just demonstrates what can, you know, the power that can be brought about by these acts of kindness. And you mentioned there about Kindfest. So what's that all about? What's this, what's the movement all about?
Yeah, so Kindfest started with a Cognitize card. I was having a conversation with a lady called Jo Savannah. If none of you know Jo, then please check it out. She runs a kindness movement called Be the Ripple. And the whole idea of Be the Ripple is to amplify more kindness in the workplace and really eliminate unkindness. And I met her through Cognitize. She saw some posts I was doing on social media, and she approached me and said, I love the sound of this. Can I come and have a chat with you? She then came to one of our Cognitize Connect sessions, because we held those right through the summer as free sessions for people to hear from the same speakers that were on the cards. And we hooked up again about a week later. And she said, I'd love you to kind of help and join our movement about see what we could do. And with my itchy creativity, I said to her during the call, well, I've got an idea actually I'd like to share with you. So there's one of the cards in our set. I'll just show you here. It's called Tag You're It. So it's all about playing random acts of kindness at work. And if you play an act of kindness on someone, they have to play it with someone else. And I said, I've had this idea since I was about 22, that I wanted to create a festival of learning in some way, but the festival was like Glastonbury, but it was Glastonbury for kindness. I said, and I don't quite know how we're going to do it. I said, but if you can imagine for a moment, if you went to Glastonbury, you would all your favourite bands on the main stage, and then you would go to the other stage for the slightly more obscure acts that give you something quite different, and then you go to another stage and it's got entertainment and it's got dancing, and you go to another stage that's got all these things. I said, we're in a moment in history, in a moment where, you know, you sit there and you go, why doesn't someone do something about that? If we kind of reframed it and said, well, why don't we do something about that? Do you think there's something that you could do? And Jo is so tenacious. She played it back to me, let's do it then. Oh, what do you mean, let's do it? She goes, let's do it. Let's actually just do it today. Let's put something out there and try and do it. So we come off the phone. We each phoned about 15 people that we really respected, or sent them messages on LinkedIn and on Twitter and said, here's the idea, would you sign up for it? And within 24 hours, we had a website built. We had a flyer that looked like a Glastonbury flyer with all the people on it. By Monday morning, we'd sold 30 tickets, and we'd already raised £700 for charity by the Monday morning by just doing something about it. And 5 weeks later, we held the festival. We had 100 people who attended in our virtual space that we used, a platform called Remo that I've been using for other business ventures. And we raised £2,500 for Pancreatic Cancer Scotland and for Bullies Out, through the endeavour of just trying to do something about it. And subsequently, since then, one of the ladies who came to the festival attended from the US, and she reached out to us and said, would you be interested in doing the same thing for a US audience and trying to bring some of your speakers from your UK festival, but blend it with speakers who are based or have a reach into the US and holding something similar. So it takes place next Friday the 11th. We've got 2 festivals, so they tie in with different time zones in the US. UK time zones that roughly run from 2 in the afternoon to 8 in the evening, depending on which one you want to go to. But we haven't even got to the end of this week yet. We've already raised $7,000 and we've sold 100 tickets, which is just marvelous. It's just brilliant. I'm so chuffed with it that it just shows you that if you sit and have a conversation with someone, you do something with it, and you start to move it forward, it's amazing how quickly it becomes something larger. And somebody phoned me last week and asked about Australia, and I went, well, let's wait until July until we can get to Australia. I'd much prefer to do it there than do it virtually, but yeah, it's just growing arms and legs. And it's, the generating of funds for charity is one thing, because it's a free event by donation only, so you just pay what you can, whether that's £1 or whether that's £100, whatever people want to feel they can pay, they pay. But I think the stories that flow from it, the biggest thing for me was I was still getting LinkedIn messages 2 weeks later from people that were still messaging me to say, I'm doing this now, or I've thought about this, or I'm still smiling. And I was like, wow, when's the last time somebody messaged me 2 weeks ago about something I did in life that still had an impact on them? So I think that'll live with me forever, really, in terms of the kind of conversations that we've had with people beyond it. And I think handling over that baton to the US one is going to be invaluable for us as well. That Joe and I aren't hosting the USA one. We've got 2 American hosts to host it. All we're going to do is come on stage at the start for the first few minutes to say hi and hand it over, because that's how you get it to move forward, is you pass it on. You don't just keep a hold of it because you've come up with the idea, you pass it on to others.
Yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic thing that you're doing. And there's a message in there from Rob in terms of activities that they've been doing in Leeds. And it is very similar to that, Rob. It's a great thing. And what we'll do is send the link out to our PPMA members to give them the opportunity to connect. And also the Cognitize events that you've been doing have been great as well. And the stories that, that's the key thing with this, isn't it? And that ability to connect with people, and I've certainly met some fantastic people connecting through those events. So thank you for that opportunity. And I think because we're now into kind of this run-in through the festive season, the power of love is really important to us. And one of your cards was all about that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You're not going to ask me to sing Frankie Goes to Hollywood now to finish up, are you? Right? Okay. So this card has, I showed you on screen there, That's All You Need Is Love card. It's got a really important memory to me. One, because it's one of my favourite songs, if not my favourite song. It was also my wedding song as well that I walked down the aisle to. It's All You Need Is Love. But I just love the sentiment of the language in it, that when everything around you that you're trying to do and you're trying to achieve is difficult, if you focus on love as your narrative, you can achieve so much through it and through compassion. So I recorded an audio story back in July. I was doing a Cognitize Connect session, and I wrote down some of my heroes and who I look up to in business, and I wrote it from the perspective of me being a 9-year-old kid, actually, and what I was thinking about when I was at that period in time that I was still in primary school, and the things I really loved and how that's carried me through my adult life, and the things that I really, gravitate towards have those same things about people that are adaptable, people that are compassionate, people that use love as a compass, and people that do great things. So I handed it over to the guy who does our editing on our Cognitize videos, and he made a 2-minute movie out of it, and I was just absolutely blown away by what he created. So we haven't made it public yet until next week, because we're doing some tweaks to the website. But I'd like to show you it, because I think it's an important message of kindness that everyone can really to carry forward as well.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right, let me share my screen a second. This is a love letter to all the wonderful humans, the life sufferers who make compassion and kindness their compass as they travel through life. Love, love, love. Be like the young John Lennon when asked what he wanted to be, he said happy. They said, you don't understand the assignment. He said, you don't understand life. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Be like Chantel Martin. Make so you can share. Make the world your canvas. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Be like David Bowie. Be the chameleon king. Be the person who continually evolves to rediscover yourself and become someone and something new every day. Nothing you can say that can't be said. Be like Kirsty Mack, who writes thank you notes to posties on the backs of envelopes and leaves books for strangers as gifts. It's easy. Be like Matt Callanan, who left £10 notes around Cardiff so that people could spend them to do good for someone else. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. Be like Joanna Silvana, who created a collaborative community of kindness, cultivating small seeds to beautifully blossom. No one you can save that can't be saved. Be like Gavin Oates, who inspires people through the power of positivity and play, and tells jokes to raise funds for charity. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. Be the 9-year-old kid who survived. It's easy. All of these amazing humans did it all through kindness to help others. They shared their learning, their cards, their stories, repeatedly to help you. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need.
And thank you for sharing that, Scott. It's amazing. It's a really powerful message. I look forward to watching that again and in more detail. It's a very moving story. It's beautifully done as well, I think, for us all to reflect on.
Thank you.
Anything final that you want to share with us, Scott, before I wrap up for today?
I've put on, you might have noticed right at the very end of that video, I put a picture of a vending machine and a code above it. Just if anyone does want to go and purchase Cognitize, if they go along to the website that you saw at the end of the video there, if you use the code PPMA10, you'll get 10% discount off the physical set when you buy it as well, if that's something that you're interested in as well. But beyond that, the reason I came today and you invited me to talk about is just share that compassion and kindness with others, because that's what I'm trying to do in my endeavors with the products and the business that I'm trying to create for people. So, try to do that as much as you can and notice what happens next, because when you are kind to people, it's great that you see a reaction in people, but when that person has the impact of that kindness, when they close the door and they walk inside, you don't see the smile on their face of what happens next when you've done that brilliant thing for them. But I think that's the thing that we always have to remember is when we do something brilliant for someone else and something kind for them, is the ripple effect that then creates for other people, that they'll probably then go, well, I'm going to go and phone someone up and say something nice for them and do something nice for someone else. It creates a beautiful energy in the world.
Yeah, it's a great message and a fantastic purpose that you've got. And because of that, connected us and brought us together. So it's a great thing. I'm really pleased, and it's great to have you part of
thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a delight. Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll have you back, because you'll have no doubt some itchy, scratchy,
something else I'm doing.
And we want to hear more. And I know that we've got some stuff also happening with Catherine in the new year about compassion, and there'll be something that we'll do with PPMA. And also, we didn't even get to talk about your that kind of concept of having lots of random acts of kindness going on next year. And so we've got loads more to share. We'll just kind of leave that as a little teaser for everybody. We'll put the link to the cards on PPMA website and also the video. We're going to be using these as part of our Peer into the Future Aspiring HR Directors program. Start pushing out and sharing that message around compassionate and kind leadership. So it's a great thing and a great way to end our week. And I thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
Scott.
Thanks very much.
And all of our listeners out there, as ever, thank you for giving us your time. Wishing you a great weekend. Next Wednesday on our program, on our webinar program, 12 o'clock, we're going to be sharing something about healthy eating. I've been eating too much cake, you know, picking up on Scott's message of baking. So I thought I should do something a little healthy ideas for a healthy body leading up to the festive. So check us out there if you want to on Wednesday at 12. Otherwise, go well, friends, and I'll see you soon. And thank you for joining us as ever. Have a great weekend.
Folks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
Just spread a little bit of love. I think it's a good thing. Thank you, Scott.
Pleasure. Thanks.